Hi, my name's Penny, and as usual, I'm here to talk about some bookish things. Specifically, today what I wanted to do is go through all the series that I have in progress. Now, I'm actually not going to talk about any of the series where I'm waiting for the next book to come out, because even if I cut all of those off the list, I've still got 40 series to talk about, and that is more than enough. And also, I think kind of the purpose of this video for me is that I'd like to watch this in a year and see that I've actually made progress. But for the series where I'm waiting for another book to be published, there's not really anything I can do about that. So I'm just going to focus on the series where I'm actually able to make progress now. So since there's so many series, let's just get into them. Firstly, I'm going to talk about all the series which have been completed, and I could complete the series now if I could find the time. And some of them I'm very close. So I've just started reading 5 Dark Fates by Kendare Blake. This is the last book in the 3 Dark Crowns series, which is all about these 3 queens who have to fight to the death in order to gain the throne. Each of them have different kinds of magical abilities, and things don't go quite to plan, so things are very different by the end of the book, and I'm very excited to finish the series off very soon. Also, another series which I'm hoping to finish off in December is Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. This follows a girl named Mia who is learning to become an assassin in order to get revenge on the people who destroyed her family. It's very dark and violent, and I'm excited to finish off this series too very soon. Then there's a few books where it's actually just a duology, so I only need to read one more book in order to finish off the series. Most of these are YA science fiction, so I don't know if that's why I've gotten myself into this situation with these series. Anyway, the first series is the Want series by Cindy Pon, and the sequel that I still need to read is called Ruse. This is a dystopian where this group of the poorer people, the Wants, come together in order to try to take down the haves, the richer people, and they come up with this crazy scheme that involves kidnapping. To be honest, I didn't enjoy it that much, but there's only one other book and I'll probably listen to it on audiobook, so I should just complete the series, right? Then we also have the Androma Saga by Sasha Ellsberg and Lindsay Cummings. So the first book was called Zenith, and then I just need to read Nexus. Sasha Ellsberg is a well-known booktuber. I think this book series is best described as a Throne of Glass set in space. Got this. To be honest, I don't remember that much of it, which is part of what's putting me off picking up the second book in the series. Also, if there was an audiobook, I would probably read it straight away, but I don't think there is. Anyway, it's not the best, but I should finish it, right? Then we also have the Next Together duology. So this is a duology which is kind of like a romance, except they keep meeting each other through different points in time, and they're also being observed and you don't know who by. I've heard that the second book in the series is better and gives you more closure and gives you more details about what is actually going on, which the first book definitely didn't do. But I suspect it's still really romance heavy, so I'm not sure it's for me. But again, it's only one book, so I should read it, right? Then we have the Forgetting duology, so I still need to read The Knowing. Again, this is this dystopian where I think it's every 12 years everybody in this village completely forgets everything, and there is some corruption going on, so some people are able to reinvent themselves at these points, and our main character is this girl who for some reason has been able to continue to remember, and that allows her to see all the corruption that's going on, and you're trying to figure out what's actually happening here. I actually really enjoyed The Forgetting, so I don't know why I haven't gotten to The Knowing yet. I will definitely try to do it soon. Okay, so then I have a whole bunch of epic adult fantasy. So firstly, we have the Live Ship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. Again, I just need to read the last book of this trilogy, although I've kind of gone back to start reading the first trilogy in the Realm of the Outerling series, so it might take me a while to get to that final book. I don't know what I'm doing with this series, but I really love it. The Live Ship Traders trilogy, you have these ships that eventually gain their own consciousness, and there's just a lot going on, but I definitely have a plan next year to read the whole of the Realm of the Outerling, so I will definitely be getting to this. Next year, me, you better have done it. Then there is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I read this book, the 5th season, just recently. It's a dystopian where people have this sense where they can sense the earth, and some people have the ability to influence the earth and use this earth power, but people are afraid of them. They are often exiled and looked down upon. It's a very strange story, but I really liked this first book, and I am excited to continue the series. Again, it's just time, because how many series am I going to talk about? You just wait, we're just beginning. I also have the Crown of Stars series, so I'm up to the 3rd book. You can tell it's a chunker. All of the books are. There's 7 books in the series. It's by Kate Elliott. It's really hard to describe it. It's a little bit like Game of Thrones, but maybe a little bit less violent, although there is still darkness and violence going on. I think it's a little bit more magical than Game of Thrones rather than quite as political. I am really interested in this series, but I do struggle to get through them a little bit. The writing's quite dense and it's a bit slow paced, but I do want to finish the series. I have the whole series on my shelves, so I really should get to them. I'm just scared because they're so long. Then I need to get my hands on some more of the Demon Cycle in order to continue this series. This is set in this world where demons come out at night. People are able to use these rune wards in order to keep the demons out, but still the people live in fear of these demons, and staying out at night is definitely not a thing you want to do, except some people do. Again, I struggled to get through this one a little bit just because it's dense fantasy, but I still really enjoyed it, and I'm interested to see what happens next in the series. I think this series is 5 books, so it's probably going to take me a while to get through it. I also need to continue with the Dragons of Pern series by Anne McCaffrey, and then later on her son Todd McCaffrey started writing the series with her and eventually took over from her when she died. This is a science fiction series, science fiction fantasy, where there are these dragons that burn this stuff that falls from the sky at certain times that can destroy everything it touches, but dragons are able to burn it out of the sky, so they do. But there's a lot of political drama, and it's just kind of an interesting series, but not necessarily the writing style that I enjoy these days. That's why it's taken me so long to get through it. Then we have a couple of more paranormal fantasies. So firstly, I recently read the first book in the Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences novels, Phoenix Rising by Pip Valentine and T. Morris. It's basically this Ministry of Peculiar Occurrences that tries to keep magical crimes under control, and we follow a couple of their less distinguished agents. So I've read the first book. I didn't enjoy it that much, which is a shame because I do have the second book here, so I'm at least going to read the second book in the series, and then I'll decide whether it's worth continuing or not. We also have The Chronicles of Light and Shadow by Liesl Schwartz. This is a series that I honestly tried to finish at the start of last year, and some reason I didn't. I don't even remember. It's kind of a steampunk type story. This girl's a pilot. There's this vampire type guy that becomes her boyfriend. There's a fairy. It's strange. I honestly don't remember most of it, which is a shame because when I read the second book, I reread the first book because I didn't remember everything. And then now I feel like I would need to go back and read the first 2 books again in order to read the third book and remember what the hell was going on. But I don't think I enjoyed the first 2 books enough to reread them. So then I just have this third book sitting on my to read list, and I don't know whether I want to read it or not. But I don't think it was a terrible series, so I feel like I should complete it. Maybe? So then I have a couple of YA fantasies that I've just read the first book from and I haven't continued. The first is Rebel of the Sands by Elwyn Hamilton. This is like an Arabian fantasy. It's a little bit Western. I felt like some of the beginning of it was a little bit Western, but it could just be that it was in the desert. No, there's guns and like a shooting competition. There's Western, right? But there's also this genie kind of magic. I thought that this one was okay, and I really love the cover. I think it's absolutely beautiful, so I don't really know. I really do want to continue the series. Another series that I started is the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom Riggs. This series is all about children that have weird abilities and they're hiding in this time loop, and we follow this boy, I think his name is Jacob, who's always heard about and been told stories about these children by his grandfather, and then when his grandfather dies he discovers that they're actually real. The book has all these like crazy photos inside it, like old photos that the story is kind of based around. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy that first book as much as I enjoyed the movie, which is really what has stopped me from continuing the series. I also have Brisinga, which is the third book in the Inheritance Cycle by Christopher Paolini. This is Eragon, so this boy finds a dragon egg and ends up becoming the first dragon rider in a really long time and having to take down this evil king. Again, I was really excited to read this, but Christopher Paolini was very young when he wrote this, and the writing is not really something I enjoy reading, which is why I'm doing a bad job of continuing that series as well. Then we got a couple of middle grade series. So firstly is the Percy Jackson series. I recently-ish read the first book in the series. This is a really well-loved series about this boy who discovers that his father is actually a Greek god and he has certain abilities because of that. This is a series I really want to continue, but I'm kind of just waiting for the second book in the series to like magically end up in my hands through a thrift shop or a book fair or something. I don't think that's the best approach to finishing off the series, but that's what I'm doing. I also want to finish off the Iron Trial, Magisterium series is what it's called. So I read the Iron Trial again recently-ish, and it's kind of very similar to Percy Jackson and Harry Potter in that we've got this boy who ends up going to magic school, even though his whole life he's been taught that wizards are bad and not to be trusted. It's by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. I really enjoyed it. I thought it had some interesting elements. But again, I think I'm just waiting for the next book in the series to magically end up in my hands. Such a terrible approach. The next series is the Emily Strange graphic novels. I had read the first two, and then I just needed to read the third and the fourth one. I just find these books actually quite hard to get my hands on. The library has some of them. Some of them it has on audiobook, but having read the first two, I don't think they suit being read in audiobook form at all because they are very graphic based. There's a lot of illustrations through the stories. So I think I want to continue this series, but I don't think I'm likely to put the effort into tracking them down anytime soon. Then we have a couple of manga series that I started and I definitely want to continue. So the first is Full Metal Alchemist, which is about these brothers who had some accidents with their alchemy, and now one of them is a suit of armor and the other one is a metal arm and a metal leg, and they're just kind of traveling around trying to work out how to get their original bodies back. I also read the first volume of My Hero Academia, which is this world where everybody has superpowers and you can go to superhero school. There's this boy who unfortunately doesn't have any powers, but he really wants to go to superhero school regardless. So I want to finish off both of those. The other graphic book series that I kind of want to finish, but I'm not sure, is this Return to Labyrinth graphic novels series. I read the first one. It was kind of terrible, although there were some elements I enjoyed. But just the cover is absolutely beautiful, but the inside does not match that at all, unfortunately. And the plot was kind of terrible. It mostly follows Toby, which... If you don't know the story of The Labyrinth, like, go and watch it. Right now, stop watching this, go and watch The Labyrinth. But it follows Toby, which is the baby in the original Labyrinth movie. I wanted to love this so much, so I kind of want to continue the series in the hopes that it improves enough that I really do love it. But I kind of don't want to be disappointed. Okay, so that is all the series where the series is completed and I could finish it if I somehow found infinite time. Now we'll talk about the ones where the series isn't completed but there are more books that I could continue if I can find the time. So, some of these I will be reading soon. Firstly, we have The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which is the sequel to The Poppy War, which is this Chinese-inspired fantasy about this orphan named Rin who manages to get herself into military academy, unfortunately, just as a war begins. I really loved the first half of The Poppy War, but the second half not so much, so I'm hoping I will like The Dragon Republic, but who really knows. I've got the audiobook. I'll be reading it probably by the time you're watching this video. I also have Sharpest Sting by Jennifer Estep. I believe this is the 17th book in the Elemental Assassins series. I don't know how many books this series will end up being. probably a lot because I feel like it could continue indefinitely. We follow this girl named Jin, who is also an assassin named the Spider, and throughout the series she's been gaining different friends and alliances, and she uses her elemental powers in order to protect those friends and take down different criminals. Since I'm giving this book to my mother for Christmas, I will be reading this before I give it to her, because that's what I do. Another book that I'm waiting to turn up from the library, and hopefully it will soon because it's just been released, and that is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, which is the second book, the sequel to Skyward. I don't know, I think it's going to be a trilogy, but we'll have to wait and see. But we follow this girl named Spencer, whose father was a pilot, but he's viewed as a traitor. He ran away from this fight, and so nobody really respects her or her family, even though she wants to become a pilot like her father and protect the humans who now hide underground from the aliens that regularly attack them. Another series which I'm not really sure whether I want to finish or not is the Shatter Me series. So I read the original trilogy, and now there is a second trilogy, which I read the first book in the second one and I kind of hated it. What was it called? Restore Me. It kind of made me really angry and it was completely pointless. But I do have a hold on what I thought was the audiobook, but I now realize is the ebook of Defy Me, the fifth book or the second book, whatever. I'm not super excited to read it, but maybe I will. I don't know. I also would love to pick up soon, and this is purely a matter of finding the time to do so. I want to pick up Oathbringer, which is the third book in the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson. The series is so hard to explain, but it's an epic fantasy with an amazing complex magic system, amazing political stuff, amazing character development. I just love Brandon Sanderson stuff. This book is probably over 1,000 pages, so it's a big commitment. I probably wouldn't recommend this series to anyone except Brandon Sanderson fans, but I really love the first two books, so I'm excited to get to Oathbringer. I really just need to find the time. I also don't want to read the series too quickly because I believe it's going to be like a 10-book series, and so I don't want to catch up too quickly and then be desperate for more books in the series. I also really want to read The Mage Fire War, which is the 21st book in the Saga of Recluse. It's been released recently. I think I'm just waiting for my library to get the audiobook because these are also big chunkers that I don't even want to attempt reading in physical form. And it's another series where I don't know how many books there will be in the series. I suspect it will continue until L.E. Modesitt Jr. dies, so that's cool. It's basically this world where some people have chaos magic, some people have order magic. I really love the magic system, and L.E. Modesitt Jr. just kind of explores that magic system and the ethical ideas around that magical system through different characters on either side of things, and sometimes in the middle. I really love it, although, again, I couldn't read them in physical form. Too hard. So then we have some YA fantasies. So as part of the Magical Readathon, the Newts exams that we did back in August, I want to say it was August, I read the first book of the Spellslinger series by Sebastian de Castell. I'm trying to remember what the series was about. There's this boy who is trying to pass his magical exams, but then his magical abilities have started to disappear. Bunch more stuff happening other than that. I did quite enjoy it. It wasn't amazing, but I enjoyed it enough to want to continue the series, which I'll probably do in audiobook, so there's no reason why I shouldn't get to this next year. Then I also need to continue the Last Magician series by Lisa Maxwell. So I read the first book a little while ago now, and I did have the audiobook out for the second book for a little while, but I ran out of time to listen to it. So I'm waiting till I have more time, more brain space, in order to get back to this series. It basically follows this magician who has the ability to time travel, and certain people are trying to use her and that ability in order to get the magician's power back at some time in the future. There were some elements of the first book that I really loved, some that I thought let the book down, but I am hoping that the second book would be better, although I haven't heard that that's true, but you never know. I also need to get to Vow of Thieves, which is the second book in the Dance of Thieves series by Mary E. Pearson. This is like a spin-off trilogy from her original Remnant Chronicles. And to be honest, I don't remember much of what it's about now, but it's kind of fun, romancy, fantasy. Again, nothing amazing, but I did enjoy the series enough that I would like to continue. I also want to continue the Magic Misfits series by Neil Patrick Harris. This is a series all about this orphan who runs away from his evil con artist uncle and kind of almost joins the circus, but ends up finding this group of friends instead who all have a love of doing magic tricks. And throughout this book there's like different codes and different lessons on how to do magic. So it's a really cute little middle grade series. I really enjoyed it and I really do want to continue the series. Just time. Another middle grade series that I want to continue is the Pages & Co. series. So I read the first book, Tilly and the Book Wanderers, and I want to continue the series. Basically, this young girl discovers that she can wander into books, and in fact there is a whole society of people that can do that, and she ends up interacting with these classic children book characters. Then all the rest of these ones that I have on my list are graphics. So firstly, I had started reading the Girl from the Other Side series. I read the first one. It's kind of this weird but cute and dark series in this village. It's just this weird creature looking after this little girl. She's not allowed to touch him, and you don't really know what's happened to everyone else in the village. I also would love to read The Tea Dragon Festival, which is the sequel to the Tea Dragon Society. This is just a really beautiful little graphic book about this Tea Dragon Society, so dragons where you're able to pick the leaves off them and make tea. There wasn't much substance to the story, but I just found it so beautiful that I'm sure I would love the second one as well. And Katie O'Neill, who creates those books, is a New Zealander, so that's also great. Also, Volume 3 of the White Sand graphic novel series by Brandon Sanderson has been released. I unfortunately was quite disappointed in the first 2 volumes. Usually I love everything Sanderson, but I don't think his stories have been translated very well to this graphic form. I don't know if it's just the story or the way that it's been executed, but I haven't been enjoying them, which is why I'm delaying picking up the 3rd volume. Also because I don't remember at all what was going on. And so I really need to reread the whole thing. And since I didn't enjoy the first 2 volumes, I'm not super excited about that. Also, there is the Rat Queens graphic novel series, which I've read the first 4 of. Again, these are okay, but they keep changing up the artists, and I'm not really sure whether I really want to continue. But I feel like graphic novels are so easy to read that I just should continue because it should be easy, but yet I haven't found the time to. Then also I have been reading the graphic novel adaptations of the Babysitters Club books. I haven't been reading them in order, so who knows which book I'm technically up to. I have one waiting for me at the library right now actually. I just need to go and pick it up at some point. But there's a few more that I haven't read that have been released already, so I will be getting to those. Then lastly there's the Ice Cream Man graphic novel comic series. These are just like, I think they're more like short story anthologies of little horror stories, although there are some interconnecting parts, especially the Ice Cream Man features in all of them. I've only read the first volume. I kind of want to read the rest just to see, because some of the stories are quite interesting. I think I want to continue it. So those are all the series that I have in progress. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. Probably way too long, so I apologize. But what I would love you to do is, if you think any of the series that I've mentioned today are not worth continuing, then convince me. Down in the comments, I want you to convince me to not read some of these series, because I am so bad at stopping reading series even when I don't really enjoy them. But 40 series in progress is a lot of books to read in order to catch up. So I really want you to convince me to give some of them up. Help make my life better, please. Anyway, once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.